asked that we appropriate what's necessary in terms of engineering and consultancy. And I say this because talking to some old timers, the only people say if you're 80 over, people were here when Donna came and it sucked. The last time the water sucked out of the canal was during that time, and so it's kind of not in anyone's mind. And so, if there is any assistance needed on that, I'd say that we should give support to our team. And I guess my context for this is that before I moved back here, I was in Japan and I was affected by the tsunami, and they had very well designed plants. But the problem was an actuary left out the fact that the water rose to a certain level, like literally 1,000 years ago, and that was left out of the table. And so when it came time to the disaster, the generators were flooded. It get critical simply because that wasn't envisioned. And so I just want to make sure that we give our team support they need, if anything you need in terms of just, I guess, a macro picture for the seawall infrastructure, that we do that for you.
I want to just bring a subject up that we talked about at the last meeting. Since the last meeting, I have met with the Boaters Alliance, and we have worked out a program whereby people can go on, it's in the works, it's not completely set up yet, but we have a program that we're going to be setting up that we will have a page on the Boaters Alliance website where anybody who has a dock available that they would like to make available to someone temporarily while their seawall's being replaced, there will be docks available. And we will have another link on the website that will, if you need a dock for your boat, you can click the link and you will send an email to the president of the Boaters Alliance, and he will in turn send a list out to that person of all the docks that are available to anybody who may need one. We're in the process of setting that all up right now, so we'll be publicizing that as soon as it gets up and running on their website. We're going to be going to the media and giving the media information about it, so I've already talked to Rusty about doing a piece on it so that we can put it in the Sun and some of the other local publications, so everybody will be aware that this program exists. I put something in my newsletter last week about it, and I got numerous emails back about it. I even have one woman who has a husband who's very ill, and they have 2 big boats that they're going to need to accommodate, and I already think I found her a dock that she can use for her needs. But there are about 15 docks already that I have on the list of docks that will be available for people who may need them. So if you know of any people that would like to participate in this program, that would like to make their dock available, please email me who they are, and we'll contact them and get their information and get them on the list. We're hoping that in most cases they won't charge for the use of the dock, but it'll be up to the homeowner whether they choose to do that, whether they want to charge for electricity, if electricity is available, and all of that sort of thing. But I think it's going to be a really good solution to the problem of where we're going to move these boats to when the seawalls have to be replaced. And the only other question that the Boaters Alliance had was, how are we going to notify everybody? And it was my understanding we're going to give the homeowners a window of time, is that correct, when we have an idea of when their seawall's going to be replaced?
Yes, what we're intending to do is with our mapping system, set each contractor out linearly through his district. And from that, the neighbors, without any technology at all, will be able to see they're 3 yards down, about how long will that take? So they make a call and we'll be able to answer that. But yes, we'll have a schedule. We'll be notifying the homeowners formally. But for those that aren't easy to reach or don't read things that are sent to them or whatever it might be, they'll see the work progressing toward their home. Whereas in the past, it's always been, well, we do one over there and now we move and do one over here. But they'll be well aware of where we are with just like kind of the debris removal. You see a street gets picked up, you know, okay, they're moving, they're making their way.
Great, okay.
Yes. Thank you for all you're doing. I know that, as I explained to one resident, I used the word forensics, the forensics of the failures, so that you're studying it thoroughly, so that we're trying to learn from this. But they also were concerned that we were allowing FEMA to dictate when we would actually start seawall replacements. And I said, I assured them that no, we are not. You know, yes, we are seeking FEMA reimbursement, but we are pedal to the metal, and the staff is working as diligently as possible, all hands on deck. I thank you all for the expediency of what you're trying to do and all the hard work and probably overtime and that you're doing.
Gary? First of all, again, my accolades to all of city staff. And, but I just have a couple questions. One is I've had several queries of people where they've had seawall failures, maybe not the most catastrophic, but they're concerned about encroachment onto their docks that are still intact. Is there anything that we can do to guide them on how they might reduce the potential damage to their docks until we get to them?
We posed that same question last week when we had about a half a dozen, maybe 10 seawall contractors in the room of what can we do now to stabilize the lots and help these folks out, and they were all either tight-lipped or didn't have any ideas.
Okay.
But one of the things that is in my memory of before I really got involved with the seawalls, with the previous seawall supervisor, is that when a wall goes down, sometimes they would go out and cut the cap to keep it from pulling other walls down. Well, what we're seeing there is that when there's so long of, we're looking at another year or so before these folks are gonna get relief, that seawall is providing some erosion control right now, and we're not finding where we wanna cut any seawalls yet. When we get into our detailed investigation, we'll look at, is there something we can do to shore up each one of these individually as we go through, but not a whole lot of
I think
ideas.
you said docks.
Yes.
I'm
Yeah.
referring to the
But
docks,
it all kind of goes
but they're so
together.
closely related
Yeah,
that
if-
I understand it's,
Yes,
there's a catch-22 here.
We've heard that the seawall panels are pushing on the dock and they feel that their docks are moving, so that they may not have failed yet, but they think they're going to cause them to fail. But I think we want to leave that seawall right where it is for the time being, rather than opening that up. Some of the worst erosion is the folks whose seawall fell out into the water and it's completely gone now. Every tide, they lose a little bit of material. Whereas the other folks who have a seawall, they lose a little material when it rains.
They've got a
Tides twice a
they've got
day.
a leaning seawall.
So
So
it's a tough situation.
in that vein, since I'm a half-full kind of guy, when we've got all this other seawall that was the original PGI seawall that hasn't failed yet, yes, we're gonna have to address that, but we're gonna, I wanna believe that when we finally get through this next 2 years or year and a half, whatever it's gonna be, we're gonna be ahead of the game. Is there a way to determine what's left in the integrity of those older seawalls? In other words, right now, a seawall starts to show that it's failing and the guys come in and they replace it. So is there a way to preemptively try to determine what life expectancy is left in those original seawalls?
Well, we do an investigation every year or so on the walls. We're visual. We had a firm in here who was going to use some kind of radar system or some kind of pulses that go through the wall to actually see how much steel is left. But the cost of those things quickly approach what the cost of a seawall is, so.
Okay, that's a fair enough question. Answer.
That we found in the past, prior to this storm, we were finding that the occasional seawall failure that we had was not definitely identifiable just from the visual observations that we do. We may have rated one medium, and next door neighbors was severe. The medium one went down and the severe one didn't, so.
Okay.
We've not gotten it to that level of science yet.
Okay.
Any other questions? Plus, you couldn't look through the ground at the Deadman and all that too, so
Right.
you could maybe do something with the concrete, but the other steel could be bad. So,
Yeah. If I might add, as we get into this, we'll be trying to brainstorm ideas. What can we do to those old panels? There's ways to shoot rods into the ground with anchors on them. Is it cost effective to do that to an old panel? I'm not sure, but we'll be throwing those ideas at a dartboard and trying to see if there's something we can do to that other 50 or 60 miles to keep it from happening catastrophically.
Okay, I just had one other day, this is a crazy idea, and it's not really something that would be discerned today, but we own a fair amount of land, and we're able to pour seawall. We're gonna have people come in and ask them to pour seawall. I assume in Punta Gorda, these contractors will be pouring their seawall here, not bringing them down from Tampa or something.
no,
Pouring
at the
right on our-
yard. Yeah,
Right,
at the yard.
exactly. So, and that's my point. So they're gonna bring assets down here and also develop expertise. It might be possible with one of these contractors, after this is all over, to enter into arrangement where we offer them the site, they pour C panels for the marketplace around us, sell them for a profit and give us a piece of the pie, you know, because there's still gonna be a need for seawall. Always, as new construction goes and so forth, we might be able to get a little bit of business that could move
Little
into Punta
enterprise
Gorda.
fund. I like the way he's thinking.
That's it.
So, I just wanted to throw that one little concept
Hey,
out there.
I like the idea.
We will certainly own more seawall forms than anybody else.
Well, and right now, as I understand, we're only second to the US Navy. So, you know, maybe it's time for us to think bigger and look at the Tampa market.
Contracted out for seawalls, and they were able to pour us 2 panels a day for the Harbor Walk project. And we'll be in the capacity of around 60 or 70 a day.
I understand.
Wow.
Yeah. Anyway, very impressed. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Awesome.
Okay, we don't have any new business. Recommendation from city officers, Howard.
Hold it. Is this where I can bring up that other idea?
No, I have it marked on another spot.
Okay. Sorry. I apologize.
That's okay. I sent to you this morning, I don't know if you have a chance, but Councilmember Matthews received a request to support a letter of support for the Southwest Florida Regional Planning Council for a disaster recovery coordinator to go for a grant for it. I just have it here. I'm not asking you to approve the letter of support because we put those on a council agenda. Should I place this on the next council meeting to see if you want to support such a request? It's one of the Regional Planning Council's grant requests. And
I think it's a no-brainer.
I mean, it's just a letter of support, right?
that's all it is.
Yeah, for a
I
grant.
mean, I just know in the past, the Regional Planning Council, they're not very timely on their requests, so I'm not sure when they need this by.
I just got it day before yesterday, so,
Typically, we put these on
They
an
don't go by
agenda.
council
Do you
agenda
wanna-
timelines.
no.
what do you
They never have. Yes.
When I first read it, I certainly thought it was a noble idea. But the second thought I had was to ask our city to say, would this kind of a service have been helpful? Or where did we get our support, and do we need this? I mean, I realize you can apply for a grant for it, but it was just a question.
To be honest, what we do is, if we call our colleagues from the other areas and we ask them, hey, how you doing on this? How you doing on that? You got any thoughts on this, thoughts on that? We just go do it. We don't need a disaster recovery coordinator to. But is it a nice thing? I guess it would be nice if we have a letter of support, if they wanted to go for a grant. I'm asking you telling you what we do.
I understand. Well, because I was on the Regional Planning Council for a while, I just found that as a community, we have become resourceful, and we really don't need the Regional Planning Council like we used to 20 years ago. So I feel, in some ways, like, it's like I said before, it's a noble idea, but, is this, in reality, is it a value? But
Let's just
Just
put
a
it on the
question.
next one, and
I think I'd like to hear what Ray Sandrock has to say about it. Are they gonna support it? Are they gonna do anything about it? Since Charlotte County has exercised their option to bow out of the council, what are our long-term goals in terms of being part of it?
I mean, anything to give us more information, sure, it's always great to have more information. I guess
Absolutely.
they're just applying for a grant.
right.
absolutely.
I'll put it on.
I mean, I guess we need to know too, is this person would be available to us as well? We would be a resource that we could, I mean, that's what I would like.
what I know.
If we're still a part of the council.
Well, yeah, that's the thing.
I'll put it on.
Okay,
That's all I have.
all right. City Attorney,
Nothing further, thank you.
wow, you've been really quiet today.
I'm trying.
Oh, sorry, I'm not quiet. Thought I had this baby turned off too. City Clerk,
Yes, under boards and committees, we have the following vacancies.
an unexpired term for an alternate on the Board of Zoning Appeals, an unexpired term for an alternate on the Building Board, a 2-year term on the Firefighters Pension Board, a 3-year term on the Punta Gorda Isles Canal Advisory Committee, and an unexpired term on the Utility Advisory Board. Under nominations, we have a 3-year term on the Code Enforcement Board. We currently have 1 eligible applicant. If you'd like to nominate and appoint, you may do so by motion.
I'll nominate and appoint.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to nominate Mr. Barrage. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried unanimously.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you. Yeah. I just wanted to let you all know that I am going to the Florida League of Cities Fast Fly-In next week. And the Southwest Florida League is, for the most part, underwriting my trip. But if I just wanted to, last time that I went, if there were any overages, the city, you guys decided that the city could help supplement that. So I just wanted to bring that up and see if that was okay. There may not be any, but I'm sharing a room. We're sharing, Teresa Watkins Brown and I are sharing a room. So we are conscious of the expense because the rooms are very expensive there, but
Go for it and make it
Yes.
a less eventful trip.
thank you. Yes, I will try.
Agree.
And the one issue is on the table is CDBG, so I've asked the staff, because we've pulled out of that, to put something together so we can tell them, hey, we don't even do this anymore because you've made it so difficult for us to comply with the rules, because that's a hot topic, you know, so I'm gonna bring that as part of our perspective on the federal issues and let them know that, you know, we've taken a different direction just because we can't live with the deal, you know? So that's what I plan to champion. Thank you for that. Council member comments, let's go with Jahab.
First thing is that I have something for everybody. I said for this meeting, I was gonna try to have the woman from the lobby come. Irma made things difficult for everybody, but what I did get, I got definitive answers from True Leave in Tampa.
Okay.
About, and I have it, you know, we can even put up there, about their rate. It's, for any place in Florida, it doesn't matter the amount, the flat rate is $25 for delivery. I also included with this, the list of how one becomes a patient. That they gave me the process, as well as I also gave you samples of the applications. So if you want to share with constituents, I also, on the last page, I put links to this, if you need to send it to any residents, how they can get the application, the list of the doctors who actually have completed the course, and if anyone has any children who need to do this. So this is just to let residents know if they need to avail of this medicine, how they can go about it and get delivered from True Leave in Tampa.
Thank you.
Secondly, I wanted to bring up, the Cooper Street Board asked that if it would be possible for the bathrooms at the park there to be closed at dusk, just as a public safety issue, just to make sure that no activities would happen there. So so the board voted on this and asked if this is possible. They were closed before, they were recently reopened, and they were asking if it's possible, if it can close at dusk, kind of like it's done at Ponce Park.
What?
With that,
Yeah, I mean, it's basically a council decision. It's a public park. Ponce Park, we lock the whole park up at dusk. That's a totally different thing. With Herald Court Center, we now lock the bathrooms, I think around 7:30-ish, somewhere like that, when the businesses close, at the request of the businesses, because we've had issues there. Lashley Park, those bathrooms remain open till 10 p.m. Because of the interactive fountain. There may be families that use the interactive fountain. Now, as it gets a little cooler, you won't have as many families out there, but you do have people walking and being in Lashley Park quite late. Cooper Street Center, we agreed with the board at that time to keep the restrooms open till 10 p.m., same as Lashley Park. We've had a couple of issues there recently, and the board is now requesting that we close the bathrooms around 6-ish when the school ends.
Yeah.
Isn't that the request?
Yes, yes, it is.
What about the sport courts, though? Aren't there tennis courts and basketball courts
are.
there?
There are.
I mean, that would be I think we should close them at some time. I don't know that dusk is the right time if people do want to do the physical activities there. I do know that I have seen groups hanging out on the picnic tables, is that the issue?
Well, the groups hanging out is not the issue. It's more that it's the bathrooms being used for not cool activities. It's more from that standpoint.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's not this they're hanging out.
No,
It's
that's
exactly-
okay. Yeah, the using of the park is the issue. It's just making sure that the bathrooms are not part of any enterprise.
I don't have any problem
I don't either.
Okay.
complying with the request of the
Do
Yeah.
what
board.
keeps people
Yeah.
safe.
Okay, we will then basically notify, we'll put some signage up, we'll notify the community that that's what we're doing, and I'm sure we'll hear back some comments.
Yes, we will.
That's okay.
Thanks, John.
That's all.
Lynn?
Nothing further.
I just want to remind everyone that you've received, council has received invitations, and the public is invited to attend the Pickleplex groundbreaking on Tuesday, October the 17th at 9 o'clock in the morning at Florida Southwestern State College. And this will be out on the north area of the grounds of the State College. So the easiest way to get there is to go Florida Street, the Florida Street entrance. And then if you go in that area, just to the right is where the Pickleplex is going to be built. And so we welcome you all to come and help us have a very celebratory occasion. So thank you for the support, and we're all excited about it. So-
Yes, we are very excited about it.
I hear it's going to be a very big deal.
Terrible.
I stole that from the TV commercial.
I won't use the H word.
Okay, I brought up an idea to Howard. I have spoken with Ray. I think Howard has. I haven't spoken to Tom Jackson about this yet. But one of the concerns that's come up about from Irma is the lack of shelters in Charlotte County and the availability of Charlotte County. And it occurred to me that we haven't poured the slab yet for this new reverse osmosis plant that we'll be building. And that building will initially house a 4 million gallon reverse osmosis plant, but be sited to be double that. So there's gonna be half that building that's essentially gonna lie vacant for 10 years or so, whatever that is, until we have a need for that capacity. And since we haven't even poured the slab yet, I wanted to bring up the notion of us discussing here in the relatively near future about looking at hardening that building a little bit and asking some questions of what we might be able to do to facilitate that to be a potential refuge rather than a shelter, because talking to Ray, there's some Red Cross issues. We don't want to go all that way, but so that it could be available in a situation. That area is not, if that area, as Howard says, if that area floods, we might as well have Noah's Ark here anyway. So it's a very good, safe place. There's a lot of space there anyway. It would be an area that for a portion of the time, the fire trucks would be staged there, so, and individuals. So if there were medical needs, they might be able to be addressed during the worst of the hurricane until it gets down below 50 miles an hour. And so forth. So it's just a discussion I'd like to open and see if we would like to modify the plans as we go forward for that building, if there were some easy accommodations to do that.
I would definitely like to see what it would entail.
I'd like to see what it's gonna cost to check, because we're gonna obviously have to raise the elevation of that.
And if the county would be willing to pay for it, since it's
Well, exactly. You know, there might be, if we offer this, there might be, that might give us the opportunity to talk to those people, but I think we really kind of need to know. It may be just as something, I'm not talking about something elaborate, I'm thinking about, maybe it would be ADA accessible bathrooms and showers, some extra showers or something like that to to accommodate individuals, maybe a little larger kitchen than we planned for the building, or whatever accommodations are in that building, to make it available.
The question was, were there any grant money available for that? We haven't even begun the research.
Yeah.
We needed to bring the
I think
topic
it's
up.
worthy of research.
Yeah, that's
Definitely.
my point. Because now's the time to do it before we've actually even poured any concrete.
And even just the success of offering our own employees a place was very, very good.
That worked out well.
Yes, so if we go on that vein, and maybe if the county, we say, you know, it could be available for your employees as well, if you chip in, you know, something. I mean, it could be
We were looking at this for
open public.
parts of the public.
Okay.
Yeah, and one of the thoughts was this maybe for the nursing homes and assisted living facilities.
Yeah, that's
a
who we were
possibility.
aiming at. That's a big deal.
People that were at risk. And that's why I had made the comment about the ADA. Did we talk about that today at all? That subject?
Then I assume it's air conditioned and all of that.
Oh, yeah.
And it'll have generator. You know, it'll have emergency power.
They'll have water.
It'll have,
Yes.
yeah, it'll have water.
So it would be more of a general public project.
Yes.
Yeah, but, you know,
If we look at it that way. And so I guess the sense I'm getting is that we need to do some research on this.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's a $10 million add-on, obviously, we don't want to do it, but if it's a couple, you know, if it's $20, $40, $50,000, we might want to consider it. It's a $40 million project.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I know at the end of this last evacuation, we had like 1,000 elders who needed electricity in terms of their evacuation. And if there was somewhere closer, it'd make it much easier.
So anyway, that's the only comment I had today.
Okay. Citizens' comments, any topic, please make your way to the podium over here, state your name, you have 3 minutes.
Don McCormick, a man with a long memory. Mark Gehring referred to the redesign of the seawalls. That was undertaken at the behest of Mr. Dave Gerdell, who has since passed, but it was championed by Mr. Harvey Goldberg on the city council. You were the man that made that happen, and it was very encouraging to me as an old-timer to see that some of these things really bear fruit. Thanks to Dave and thanks to Harvey.
Thanks. Anybody else? Citizens' comments, any topic? Seeing none, we are adjourned.